To say there's a lot going on at the moment would be an understatement. The status quo, so to speak, has been shaken up, and we have access to find out about what's happening far faster than in previous years. Before getting into the movies, this video will first discuss the short story The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. This narrative has inspired multiple other movies, and of course this video will contain spoilers. With Mothra the Bunny of Data Science, let's discuss how the poor fight for survival in this class war. Published in January 1924, over 100 years in the past, this story is currently in the public domain and available to read. It is a short read, but for those unaware of the story, it takes place off of the coast of Brazil, somewhere. The prey, Rainsford, is described as having good eyes and able to pick off a moose moving the brown fall bush at 400 yards, but even you can't see 4 miles or so through a moonless Caribbean night. He wakes in the middle of the night on the boat ride and falls overboard, but manages to make his way to shore. After waking up the next day, he finds a chateau in the middle of the jungle where General Zaroff and Ivan reside. Rainsford is surprised that they are aware of his hunting skills and were anticipating his arrival. Zaroff is part of the Russian aristocracy that lives for the thrill of the hunt and is going after the biggest challenge, not specifying what that is yet. After Rainsford passes out from the substance given to him, he wakes up in the jungle with supplies. Realizing now that he himself is the prey, Rainsford evades capture multiple times. At the end of the story, Rainsford sneaks into the house and confronts Zaroff one last time. Rainsford is successful, and Zaroff dies. There are multiple things inspired by the short story, but for this video, I will focus on 2 movies, the 2020 film The Hunt and the 2019 film Ready or Not. In The Hunt, 12 deplorables are kidnapped and transported to Croatia to be hunted by performative, progressive, wealthy elites. Ready or Not is about a woman dealing with the tradition of her in-laws, where on the wedding night, the family has the newcomer play a childhood game written on a card that is drawn from a puzzle box. In both movies, the story mostly follows the main protagonist, women from lower socioeconomic backgrounds placed in environments created and designed by wealthy people. In order to survive, they fight for their literal lives as they navigate a world around them that has its own set of pitfalls, nuance, and language. The protagonists sort through the deception and social facade of the wealthy who try to appear to care about others, yet cannot hide that they care only about maintaining the status quo. A status quo where they can hold up a particular image and perpetuate the existing systems that punish marginalized people. In The Hunt, the protagonist Crystal is referred to as Snowball by the group of wealthy elites until the last 15 minutes. In George Orwell's novel Animal Farm, Snowball and Napoleon are pigs. Snowball is reminiscent of Leon Trotsky, and in the written story there is no confirmation of his fate. In contrast, the 1954 animation hints that after being run off the farm, Snowball is eaten by dogs. Snowball is the character encouraging the farm animals to rise up and run the farm without the humans, to work together as a community. Napoleon is opposite, disagreeing with Snowball's actions and how to run the farm because he would rather install a hierarchy with pigs at the top, himself ruling as dictator. With this information in mind, our protagonist Crystal is confused when she hears her nickname is Snowball. Athena, the leader of the wealthy running the hunt, explains, quote, "It's a reference to George Orwell's Animal Farm. He's a pig," end quote. Her assumption being that Crystal would not have read the book. She's just a stupid hick from Mississippi. Instead, Crystal is perplexed and asks, "Why am I Snowball? Snowball is an idealist. He wants to make the world a better place. That's why the other pigs make up lies about him, turn him into the enemy. I think you should be Snowball," end quote. Athena is visibly shocked. Athena and others in the group refer to the participants in derogatory terms, rationalizing that they deserve it because they perceive them to be racist, uneducated, or whatever criteria that was discussed during their meeting. The wealthy elite run charities and pat themselves on the back for performative good deeds like volunteering in exotic locations, and they view the unwilling participants as animals beneath them. The deplorables are pigs for the slaughter. On the flip side, wealthy elites have also been referred to as capitalist pigs in other media, their insatiable greed selfishly hoarding resources. By the end of the movie, Crystal slaughters those in charge of the game. Their training and resources ultimately do not save them. Crystal is the unintentional hero of sorts, although her character does not see herself that way. At the start of the game, the camera does not focus on Crystal too long before she disappears into the woods. It's easy to miss. It's a passing glance as the focus is on other players first, as they are picked off one by one. Slowly, the movie intentionally focuses more on Crystal. Athena begins to see her as the rival who will make it to the final boss. In the end fight, however, Crystal tells Athena that they have the wrong person, and her mail often gets mixed up with someone that has the same name, but spelled differently. Athena pauses with confusion, then asks, "Are you justice for y'all? Come on, we're both dead, just tell me I got the right crystal, didn't I?" Crystal tells her no after a long pause. There are theories as to whether or not she is lying in this scene, and there is plausibility to both. I lean towards Crystal telling the truth that they captured the wrong one, partly because it's assumed that the picture associated with the social media profile is correct, but we're not given actual confirmation of this. Crystal has also been one of the few characters in the movie that is unapologetically honest, speaking her mind. She doesn't have a large number of lines in the movie, but when she does have dialogue, it's short, measured.
I was eating in Mississippi when I got knocked out for what was at least 18 hours, so taking that into account, along with your accent and a license plate I saw, I'm guessing I'm probably in Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia. Am I in Croatia?
Even in cases where lying would have been the easier solution, she doesn't. The closest we get to untruth from her is Crystal stoically not answering certain questions. She visibly processes her internal thoughts before speaking and doesn't stutter in her answers. If she is not the correct Crystal, it still doesn't defeat the purpose of the hunt. By Athena's team not double-checking their work to ensure that this is the correct person, it illustrates how the poor are often seen as nothing more than pawns in games rich people play. Athena trains 9 months for the event, but neither she nor her staff put enough effort in to ensure if they have the right people. Crystal is from Mississippi, and the people running the game cannot fathom that someone from this state might be educated or less bigoted than themselves. So to Athena, it doesn't truly matter if it's the right person. On the other hand, it could indeed be the correct Crystal. Throughout the challenge, she has had to adapt to this environment and use her last moments with Athena to plant a seed of doubt, recognizing that this will bother Athena more than giving her confirmation of what the reality is. We're only shown one post from her social media that the wealthy elite used to justify adding her as a contestant. Regardless of whether or not this is indeed the correct Crystal, neither theory takes away from the message of the film. Those who ignite change may not always be aware of the future impact of their actions. They are often ordinary people willing to question and think critically, working to just try and make the world slightly better than before. Whereas those in the hunt were specifically targeted, and ready or not, Grace is more of a sacrificial lamb for the greater good. She is the newcomer to the family, and her fiancé Alex doesn't inform her of the ritual the family has after a wedding. It's only when Grace accidentally overhears a conversation between the in-laws when she's hiding behind furniture that she learns how high the stakes truly are. The family believes that to appease Mr. LaBalle, the man to whom they credit their wealth, they need to provide a sacrifice to him as a payment, and they need to do so before dawn. In order to survive, Grace has to stay alive until then, or the entire family will die. At least according to their beliefs, they will. She is kept uninformed by her fiancé, who is seemingly trying to escape, or at least telling himself that, yet the one doing the most work to actually help Grace is his alcoholic brother Daniel. Grace has been unknowingly placed in an extreme situation, with a lack of resources and knowledge that place her at a disadvantage from the start. In order to win, she has to adapt quickly. The wealthy elite who are running the game in the hunt lie to themselves and others about their image. It's possible that Crystal lies about who she is in the end of the film because she is adapting and learning to speak the unwritten language of the wealthy. Not given a clear answer to Athena in her last moments is the proverbial pin that leaves Athena wondering why.
Oh, you done fucked up, lady. You got the wrong Crystal. There's another Crystal May crazy back home. But she spells May with an E. Hey, I get her mail sometimes.
After Crystal wins the fight with Athena, she changes into Athena's clothes and shoes, grabbing an expensive bottle of wine, and takes the dog onto the private jet. Much like Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul, people like Crystal from low-income backgrounds have had to learn the unwritten rules and language to be able to move up the socio-economic ladder. People that grew up in poor families do not act or speak the same as those from wealthy backgrounds. When surrounded by those in the arena, Crystal doesn't try to hide who she is or where she came from. She doesn't need to. In the movie, it's not clear, but the hunt was not originally a real event. It was a rumor that made its way through social media due to a group chat being leaked where rednecks and hillbillies are called deplorables. It is prevalent enough that the different members of the group chat are let go from their different white-collar jobs or removed from the board of charities in order to appear to the public that they care about people who aren't wealthy. These people are still able to eat, have a place to live, and by all appearances seem unaffected. Their only casualties are their egos. Instead of considering the impact of what they discussed in the group chat, they meet to make the rumor true. This is an unhinged reaction, and they have the resources to throw money at ridiculous ideas. It's certainly not a money-making venture and was born out of revenge. People who are poor cannot do this. If there are rumors swarming, we are at the mercy of how people choose to perceive our image. It's much harder for us to build up our image and come back from nothing, whereas for the wealthy elite, this is just Tuesday. And ready or not, the family strives to keep the status quo by any means necessary. Things that seem normal for them are crazy and outlandish to the outside world. Individuality is not as important as continuing tradition. Grace is an orphan and has high hopes to be included as part of the family. For her to be able to do this, she will have to adjust to acting in a way that continues the family image. When Alex returns to see his family, they guilt him about not coming home. He went out into the world and became his own person, but now that he is back home, the family is trying to draw him back into the group. In both movies, they are fighting for their literal lives and have few resources at their disposal. For Crystal, having been trained in the military, she has gone through basic training, which provides some of these skills. The military often target poorer areas for recruits, and as a poor woman in Mississippi, it's likely she saw the military as a possible opportunity to escape poverty or the chance to gain higher education. At the start of the movie, we see her in the background creating a makeshift compass to determine cardinal direction before the camera shifts to the other participants. As the other participants try to grab a weapon from the box dropped in front of them, Crystal is not part of that group. Instead, she focuses on analyzing where she is and how to escape. Later in the movie, Dawn, one of the participants, asks Crystal why she thinks they're being targeted. Her response, quote, "They're trying to kill me. I don't give a shit why."
Maybe you should have waited to kill him until he told us why they're doing this.
Pretty sure he wanted us to tell him.
When people struggle to pay bills or afford groceries, why isn't that important? It doesn't matter why those in charge want to take away SNAP benefits. What matters is how they're going to survive the next day or week. In Ready or Not, there are actually multiple women who have managed to escape poverty. The protagonist, Grace, grew up in foster homes and sees the in-laws as a possible future family, albeit through a naive lens. The sister-in-law, Charity, is characterized as a gold digger, and that her husband, Daniel, is aware of this. She tells her husband in the movie, quote, "You know my life before this, and I'm not going back." The mother-in-law, Becky, also mentions coming from a lower socioeconomic background, but we aren't given too many details for her past either. She is heavily focused on protecting the family and has adjusted to existence within this world. Charity and Becky's pasts are removed from their identity as they have now embraced the new image. By marrying into this family, they have had the chance to move into a higher station in life, and one that they are going to be more desperate to keep since they are aware of what life is like without wealth. Their names are an added touch. Grace is granting something to someone that they don't deserve. Charity is giving something to the needy or those less fortunate. For Grace, the money of the family doesn't seem to matter to her. She is anxious about being accepted into the family, not thinking about whether or not she deserves it. However, with Charity, she is not sitting on the sidelines using resources. Rather, she is very driven and headstrong. For Charity, if Grace is not killed by Dawn, she recognizes how much she will lose because she has been in that place before, whereas her husband Daniel doesn't know of a life outside of being wealthy and has nothing to compare it to. Charity and Becky will fight harder to keep the status quo more than the other players because it isn't just a game, it's a literal life changer to lose any privileges they have.
You're in the glorious state of Arkansas.
Cigarettes in Arkansas only cost $6. You fucked up, bitch!
Crystal smokes enough to be aware of the price for a pack of cigarettes in Arkansas, which is what gives away that the clerks in the gas station were playing a part. Someone who didn't have this habit would likely not catch this discrepancy. It also reflects poor planning on the part of Athena and the event organizers because they didn't account for those who would be affected by items that fall under a sin tax. And ready or not, the women who came from low socioeconomic backgrounds all smoke, most hide it from the family. The mother-in-law Becky lights a cigarette when speaking privately with Grace, and Grace denies that she smokes. We know that Grace does in fact smoke, as she is smoking in her first scene inside the home. Later, Charity is seen hiding in the dark outside smoking before she sees Grace running towards the fence to escape. Aside from Becky, who has a cigarette in front of Grace, Grace and Charity hide their smoking from the family. Alex is aware of Grace's habit but seems unbothered. Even in my own life, before I quit, I was aware of the biases and preconceived ideas that people had when I lit up. While it was more of an occasional thing for me, I decided that the health aspects outweighed the benefits provided. Views about smoking tobacco have changed throughout history. For a long time, smoking was everywhere, and even some doctors agreed to its usage. In World War II, cigarettes were included as part of the items provided to soldiers. In 1964, the U.S. Surgeon General publicized the link between smoking and cancer. Smoking began to be more stigmatized from various health initiatives. Over time, the number of smokers decreased, and it started to be seen as a poor people habit. This also included movies. In early movies, smoking was seen as classy, and it wasn't uncommon to see popular actors on screen doing this. Smoking is less common now unless it's a plot point or they're working at certain jobs, such as a restaurant. In the first few episodes of Raising Hope, Virginia decides to quit smoking, but it's not shown to be much of a struggle and disappears pretty quickly in the series. In reality, it can take multiple tries to fully quit smoking. None of the wealthy in either movie use cigarettes. Instead, there is an obsession with health. Athena is exercising at multiple points in the movie, and at the end, when she is making a grilled cheese sandwich, she's using higher quality ingredients. We also see the gas station clerks discuss why they shouldn't drink a particular beverage because of the amount of sugar and chemicals. The wellness industry is full of false claims and nonsense, but that's for another video. The main vice among Grace's in-laws is alcoholism. They may not smoke, but they see no issue with alcohol, and even Daniel's alcoholism is seen as more of a hindrance to their goal rather than a serious problem. In both movies, the wealthy are focused on their image, whether it's to maintain the facade of wealth or being progressive and generous. Keeping that image is what matters most. In the hunt, Crystal picks off all the elite that organize the game. While we aren't given much information of what will occur after, she isn't going to return to a comfortable life, and she might return to working at the car rental place. She might not. It's also possible that a no-call, no-show would have gotten her fired, and the people organizing the hunt certainly didn't care about that. Crystal returns to the U.S. in a private jet, but what happens after that? It's not like Crystal can just use Athena's home or vehicle. For Grace, it's possible that she inherits the family wealth. There is a nod from Labal, or Satan, I guess, at the end, as if approval that Grace made it. Since the rest of the family exploded one by one, Grace would technically be the only surviving member that the audience is aware of. However, there is also the possibility that being the only surviving member of the family makes her the prime suspect. Since she has had to survive on her own, especially through the foster care system, she is likely able to take care of herself and survive. She won't be wealthy until the estate is sorted out if she gets any of it, but she will be fine. The endings of both are bittersweet. On one hand, the poor win. They are both alive, but the system didn't change. They may have some improvement in their current station, but ultimately the prize is that they didn't die. Both movies show the wealthy elite being punished and killed in the end. Eat the rich, as it were. The working class has always fought for survival. There may be glimpses of reprieve, but the average person will not become the ultra-wealthy, whether it's due to the systemic structure in place, lack of opportunity, or lack of connections. Crystal and Grace make it to the end because it's not the first time that survival depends on using all of their skills. Even though the wealthy try to rationalize their actions being offset by the good things they do, in the end, they continue to perpetuate the capitalist system in place that keeps the poor and marginalized beneath them. Until next time.
Well, gang, I hope you had a good time, and I hope you learned some new words, too. Come on back and see me again for some more fun learning. And remember, treat other people the way you want to be treated, okay? I've got to go now. So long!